Nos extrañaron. Nosotros extrañamos muchísimo a México.
Imagine being so famous that a country's president doesn't just invite you to a concert, she writes a letter to another country's leader just to get you more show dates. That's not fiction. That's BTS in Mexico, May 2026. And today, we're breaking down every single layer of this historic moment. The diplomacy, the economics, and what it really means for K-pop's place in global culture. Stay with me. To understand why this Mexico moment is so extraordinary, we need to go back. BTS last performed in Mexico in 2017. That's nearly a decade ago. Then came the pandemic, then military service for all 7 members. 4 years, ARMY in Latin America waited, and waited, and waited. So when Big Hit Music announced in January 2026 that Mexico City would be a stop on the ARARANG World Tour, the first full BTS reunion tour, it wasn't just excitement. It was an eruption. Tickets for 3 nights at Estadio GNP Seguros, May 7th, 9th, and 10th, sold out in less than 1 hour. 3 sold-out stadium shows. And that's when things got political. Here's where the story gets absolutely wild. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the leader of one of the world's largest economies, sat down and wrote a formal letter to South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. The subject? She wanted more BTS concert dates for her country. This happened on January 26, 2026. During her own morning press conference, called Mananara, she publicly announced she had contacted the Korean president. Her reason? Millions of young Mexicans couldn't get tickets. She described it as a matter of concern for the youth of her nation. Now let's be real for a second. When was the last time you heard of a head of state lobbying another head of state for concert tickets? This is K-pop soft power operating at the highest diplomatic level. And it gets better. Fast forward to May 6, 2026, the day before BTS's first show. President Sheinbaum announces at her press conference that BTS will visit the National Palace, the official presidential residence and workplace. She said, and I quote, read quote on screen, "This is for the youth. Today, the group BTS is coming here to the National Palace." She also opened the balcony of the National Palace for BTS to greet Mexican citizens gathered outside. Think about that. A presidential balcony. For a K-pop group. When asked why she admires them, she said their music always carries messages of friendship, peace, and love. These aren't just compliments. This is a sitting president recognizing the cultural and human value of what BTS represents. Now here's a fun subplot that most people are sleeping on. Remember back in 2023? A Mexican politician named Marcelo Ebrard, who was running for president at the time, made a campaign promise. He held up a poster of BTS and told young voters, "I will invite BTS to Mexico." It was a whole moment. He didn't win the primary. Claudia Sheinbaum did. But the story doesn't end there. Ebrard became Mexico's Minister of Economy. And when BTS announced their world tour, he traveled to South Korea himself, met with BTS member Jimin in Incheon, and personally proposed the Mexico City dates. Then, in possibly the most wholesome political moment of 2026, he posted the video of his meeting with Jimin on TikTok with the caption, "I didn't win the presidential primary, but I kept my promise to invite BTS." This is not a drill. Mexican politicians are keeping 3-year K-pop promises and posting about it on TikTok. We are living in a simulation. Okay, let's shift gears and talk money. Because the BTS Mexico City visit isn't just culturally historic, it's economically massive. The National Chamber of Commerce, Services and Tourism of Mexico City estimated that BTS's 3 concerts will generate approximately $107.5 million USD in economic impact for the city. That's 1.861 billion Mexican pesos. Now, how do you get to $107 million from 3 concerts? Let's break it down. First, there's direct spending, tickets, merchandise at the venue, food and drinks. But the bigger multiplier is tourism. ARMY from all over Latin America, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, the US, flew to Mexico City specifically for these shows. They book hotels, eat at restaurants, visit attractions, buy souvenirs. The concert becomes an economic engine for the entire city. For context, that $107 million figure rivals the economic impact of major international sporting events. BTS is, at this point, functioning like an Olympics in terms of what they bring to a local economy. And it's not just Mexico. This is part of a global pattern with the ARARANG World Tour. Now let's zoom out to the full tour picture, because the numbers being thrown around are genuinely staggering. According to analysis from Billboard, BBC, and South Korean financial firms, the BTS ARARANG 2026 to 2027 World Tour is projected to generate anywhere from $1 billion to $1.87 billion in total revenue. Let that sink in. Potentially approaching $2 billion. For comparison, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, the highest-grossing concert tour in history, made $2.07 billion across 149 shows. Analysts are projecting BTS could get close to that benchmark in roughly half the number of shows. How? A few factors. First, the venues. BTS is playing massive stadiums, averaging around 64,000 capacity per show. They've also introduced a 360-degree, in the round, stage design that eliminates restricted view seats, meaning more fans per show, more ticket revenue. Second, the merchandise ecosystem. BTS isn't just selling t-shirts. We're talking BT21, Tiny Tan, brand partnerships, a new fourth-generation light stick with tour-exclusive synchronization features. Per fan spending is at an all-time high. Third, streaming. Every BTS performance drives a massive spike in streams globally. That generates royalty revenue on top of everything else. South Korean analyst Hwang Ji-won of IM Securities forecasts 1.5 trillion won, roughly $1 billion to $1.1 billion, from ticket sales alone, with an additional $346 million from merchandise. And that's before additional 2027 dates are even announced. BTS's parent company HYB already posted record revenue of about $1.86 billion in 2025, and the main tour hadn't fully kicked off yet. So let's zoom out one more time and ask, what does all of this actually mean? BTS meeting the Mexican president isn't just a cute photo opportunity. It's evidence of something that's been building for over a decade, the transformation of K-pop from a regional music genre into a genuine form of global soft power. When a president lobbies another president for concert dates, when economic ministries track a band's financial impact in billions of pesos, when a presidential palace opens its balcony for a K-pop group, that's not entertainment anymore. That's influence. BTS has essentially become cultural ambassadors at the highest level, not through government appointments, but through the sheer force of their music, their message, and the global community they've built in ARMY. And for Latin America specifically, this moment is significant. Mexican fans waited nearly a decade for this. The fact that their president advocated for them, that politicians made and kept promises, that the economic argument was taken seriously, that shows that ARMY in Latin America is not a niche fanbase. They are a force. The ARARANG Tour is still in its early stages. More dates, more cities, more records will come. But this week in Mexico City will be remembered as the moment where K-pop officially crossed into presidential territory. If you're watching this as an ARMY, especially if you're from Latin America, I want to hear from you. What does this moment mean to you? Drop it in the comments. If you're just a fan of big cultural stories, of music, economics, and diplomacy colliding in the most unexpected ways, then subscribe, because we're going to keep tracking the ARARANG Tour as it unfolds. I'll be doing deep dives on the upcoming US and Asian legs, the economic impact in each city, and the question on everyone's mind, can BTS actually beat the Eras Tour? Until then, I'll see you in the next one.